First, I want to say thank you so much for having me and having Armstrong be part of the discussion tonight. You were spot on with all of your points, Pete, and I love the opportunities to create win-win situations and to team and partner in doing what you're doing is phenomenal to promote and forward and grow our industry, because we need the younger generation to come along and keep growing what we all have a passion for. And that's what I have a passion for, is aviation and all things aviation. And very often when people talk about careers in aviation, the first thing that comes to mind are, okay, I'm going to be a pilot, or I'm going to be a mechanic, or an air traffic controller, or maybe a flight instructor. What I want to talk to you guys about today is what I think is the most exciting and fulfilling sector of aviation, and that is airport consulting. Although the truth is, I think being an astronaut might actually be a little more exciting. But airport consulting is awesome. As Pete said, my name is Dennis Corsi. I'm the president and CEO of Armstrong Consultants. Armstrong is a consulting engineering firm that specializes exclusively in aviation and airports. I've been with Armstrong for just coming up on 25 years. I started as an airport planner, an entry-level position, then rose up through the ranks, became a planning manager, project manager, eventually a leader, part owner of the company, became vice president, and then eventually president of the firm. So now I have both the privilege and the very humbling opportunity to serve all the members and employees of our firm and help to drive the strategic vision and goals and direction of the firm, which is a big responsibility. Armstrong was founded in 1973 by Ed Armstrong in Grand Junction, Colorado, as a multidiscipline civil engineering firm. So that means that we did residential development, commercial development, roads, bridges. In Western Colorado at the time, oil shale exploration became big. He had a drilling subsidiary and really grew the company. But then in the mid-'80s, there was a big oil shale bust. Exxon pulled out, and the economy in Grand Junction tanked. You know, everyone said the last one to leave, turn out the lights, because everyone was bugging out of town. At the time, Armstrong had a couple of contracts with airports, and those capital projects are federally funded through FAA grants. So at the time, Ed decided to pursue airports exclusively in the mid-'80s. And that's what we've done. Started growing the firm. Ed has since retired, but over that time period, the company has grown to 8 offices serving 3 different FAA regions with 4 FAA airport district offices across 7 states in the Rocky Mountain West and Southwest, including Nevada and California airports. We currently serve 86 different cities, municipalities, and tribal governments who operate 102 different commercial service and general aviation airports. And we've completed close to 3,000 airport improvement projects over that time period. So we know airports. There's a saying, if you've seen one airport, you've seen one airport. There's a lot of similarities about airports, but the one thing that I love about this industry and what we do is the wide variety of types of communities and cultures that we work with. We work with busy executive jet ports. We work at airports that provide tourism in many of the national park areas, like the Grand Canyon, like in Moab, serving Canyonlands and Arches National Park, Bryce Canyon. Every one of those national parks has an airport nearby that brings people in, and we get to work at those particular airports. We serve airports that serve aerial firefighting bases and have air tankers and helicopters that are coming in and going out, aerial observations, smoke jumpers that are protecting the forest and trying to put out a lot of fires across the West. So airports that serve air medevac operators that come in and out. Agricultural airports in rural communities that have spray operations. So the airports that we work at are very diverse, extremely diverse. And that's what's exciting to me. More than just the large hub commercial service airports that to me are almost cookie cutter in terms of terminal gates, big airports, lots of operations, but our niche market is very exciting, very unique, and very fun to work at. And I think that's what our employees love, is the variety and engaging in the cultures and with the people that we get to work with. As a firm specializing in airports, we have three primary service lines, and they tend to follow the project life cycle for project improvements at airports. And that starts with airport planning up front. Our airport planning services primarily include airport master plans, airport layout plans, environmental assessments, land use plans, and many other types of special studies. Those planning documents typically provide a 20-year vision for an airport and gives them what I like to call their flight plan for where they're at today and where they want to be tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And that includes all of the different capital improvement projects that they're going to need. That can be apron expansions, runway extensions, lighting projects, terminals. All of those are shown in the 20-year plan. Then every time one of those projects from the plan is going to be actually constructed, we have airport engineering design. And our engineers basically do the design plans and specifications for each of the projects. That can be grading and drainage project. It could be the reconstruction of a runway, and they design the pavement thicknesses and pavement sections. It could be electrical layout for the lighting and signage systems, the details on the pavement markings, utilities, access roads, parking lots, aircraft parking aprons, hangars, and snow removal equipment, aircraft rescue firefighting. So they do the actual engineering design. And then when it goes to construction, we have a team of construction inspectors. Armstrong doesn't build anything. We don't have any construction crews or any construction equipment. Our tools are basically the people that we have and the computers that we do the design on. But when a contractor goes out to build something that we've designed, we put one of our people on the project site to watch that contractor as he's building it. We're there making sure that they follow the plans and the specifications that we prepared. That protects the airport owner to make sure the contractor's doing it right. The FAA also expects that because they're paying through their grant money at least 90% of the cost of that project. So they want to make sure it's done right. Our job is to observe, document, and record everything that's going on during the construction process. We also provide a lot of other value-added services to our clients, and this is really what we're known for, is our level of service. We provide grant administration, and we help them get the money that they need to use to build the projects that we design. We do airport marketing to help promote the airport and make it successful. And we also provide airport operations and management support. This is one of our newer lines of business, and Ken can speak to this personally, in that we find the more that we can help our airports be successful, the more successful they are, the better they grow, and the more projects we get to have. So it may seem self-serving, but with people like Ken on staff to help airport managers accomplish and understand, when we have seasoned managers like Ken who's on our staff, we can help them avoid the landmines that a lot of new airport managers might accidentally step on. As a company, we have 49 employees spread across 8 offices across the western United States. That includes Grand Junction in Denver, Colorado, Phoenix, Arizona, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Reno and Las Vegas, and most recently Santa Rosa, California, and Casper, Wyoming. So we're finding more and more, and you may find this as an employment candidate, that companies are finding with technology, you can have people located in various locations. Everybody doesn't need to be under the same roof in the same corporate office to be effective. It does take a lot of intentionality to maintain connection and communication with your teams, undoubtedly. And we've seen that during COVID. But we've been able to thrive through this period and recruit and hire people in that we may otherwise not have been able to, because they may be, their families may be grounded in a community where they're at. They may not like the company that they're working for, and they want to work for Armstrong, but they don't want to move. We've been able to do that recently with some recent hires, and even move people to places where they want to live. One of them actually has an airplane, and he's going to live in Casper and fly to see his clients. So Armstrong's corporate culture is focused and rooted on providing exceptional levels of proactive client service. That's really what sets us apart from other consulting firms, is we pay attention, we care about our clients. There's almost nothing we're not willing to do for our clients to help them be successful. As long as it's legal and ethical, we'll consider doing it. But what I'll tell you, what I'm most proud about Armstrong is our people, our staff. Everyone in this company has a passion for aviation and for excellence. It may sound cliche, but we are truly a team-oriented and a family atmosphere amongst all of our offices, all of our staff. And we find the people that don't stay long-term at Armstrong are not interested in that kind of atmosphere. They're interested in other things. So we're very excited about the folks that we have, because that's really our greatest asset, are our people. In terms of employment, we hire at all levels. We have an internship program. We'll bring interns on. We hire entry-level people, mid-level people, project managers, senior leadership, senior project manager staff. So we hire all people, all levels of experience and expertise. I would encourage everyone to consider that, especially on the internship side, to get your foot in the door for opportunities. The types of opportunities that we have at Armstrong, and I mentioned a few of them, are airport planners. Those backgrounds are primarily aviation management degrees or some type of aviation operational background. Sometimes being a pilot is an added benefit on that, because you understand, for us, the aviation environment. If you have some land use or some environmental background, that can always also be helpful. Strong communication skills, presentation skills. We do public meetings, public presentations. All of that is very important. The next are our civil engineers, our designers, and project managers. That can range from the engineering and training level, entry level, all the way up to PEs or graduate engineers. And we have all ranges of responsibilities with respect to our civil engineers, but primarily they're doing the design and overseeing the development of each construction project. And then we have our construction inspectors. Those folks mostly come to us with either construction management or prior contracting or construction experience already under their belt. We have some full-time folks, and we also have some seasonal part-time folks. Because the construction season is often seasonal, because we do, runways, taxiways, aprons, asphalt's involved. And in the northern tier climates, once you hit, end of October, November, you can't be paving in those climates. So we bring on staff seasonally, ramp them up during the spring, summer, and fall, and then they take a break over the winter. Those types of folks are usually retired, maybe state highway personnel or other contractors that just want kind of a part-time opportunity. But what I'll say is, to do what we do and to really be successful, it takes an entire team. It's not just those three primary lines of business. We also have AutoCAD technicians, we have marketing coordinators, we have graphic designers, we have business development specialists, people who love networking, building relationships, getting a foot in the door, understanding our clients' needs. We have accounting and finance people, we have human resources people, we have administrative staff, we have some on-call pilots that fly our engineers around to meetings, we have airport management and operations staff, we have just about everything but attorneys. we haven't quite figured out how to fit the attorneys into the staff. We'll hire our attorneys external for now because they like to get the meter running every time someone calls. So, but as you can see, there is a wide variety of types of career opportunities, even at a small boutique firm like Armstrong. So consider that when you're looking at the aviation community, there's a lot broader opportunities out there. So in your networking, ask what other opportunities there are in the company or the business or how you might get plugged in. But what I would say is find your passion. That's the biggest thing. Find your passion, pick your niche, and go for it. You don't want to spend, I mean, people change jobs a lot. You don't want to spend your whole career chasing jobs, doing something that you just don't like doing. Find out what it is that you have a passion for and what you love doing. Don't make it about the money. The money will come because when you're doing something you love to do, your attitude's right, your effort's right, your production, what you do, your work is going to be of high quality, you're going to be fun to be around, and you are going to advance. And as that happens, the money will come. So look at that as a secondary thing. And in addition to studying hard, getting good grades, get involved, do internships. Internships, in my opinion, are as valuable, if not more valuable, and I hate to say this, than your grades. When we're not looking for 4.0 people. We're looking for people who work hard, who get good grades, who have teachable spirits, who are quick learners, and are going to come with the right attitudes and get along with the staff. You don't need to be a 4.3 student. You need to be a good student, study hard, but teachable, a good learner. And those internships, when you bring those to the table with having prior experience in the industry, not just working some odd jobs that you needed to do. I mean, we all need to do that. I mean, I cut grass, I painted houses to get through college, but I got some experience and get that experience in the industry that you want to work in so you can take that when you're seeking a job. That's the biggest thing. So I would say in the big picture, I love what I do. I love what we do as a company. I love the opportunity like this and one thing about aviation as an industry, or you are going to work with some of the best, brightest, most fun and enthusiastic people of any industry. Everyone that I've come across in this industry are so willing to help other people. And we love what we do. We love the industry. So being part of the aviation community is just so fun for me. I've made a lifelong career out of it, and I've intertwined it with my life because it's hard to separate that. It's what I do. The family's involved, and it's just been quite the ride. So with that, I just want to, again, thank you guys for the opportunity to share with you a little bit about myself and even more so about Armstrong. Would love to entertain any questions that you might have about what we do, where we do it, how to do it, or anything at all about the industry or that I can personally share with you, and wish you all the best.
Dennis, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I have a lot of points and questions in my mind, but before I ask any, does anybody else have any questions? Because that was awesome.
I do have a question, but first I just want to say that was really motivating, especially people are in different phases in aviation, and to hear that kind of reminder of just do what you love, find what you love, and worry about the money later and things like that, that's a good thing to hear and be reminded of, because you are obviously very passionate about what you do, and that's what we're all looking for. So I think that's awesome. But I do have maybe it's a silly question, but I'm really curious. For Grand Junction, that's where I did all my flight training, and they're looking into changing runways from 11 and 29 to 12 and 30. Do you guys have anything to do with that? Because I wonder, how do they figure that out? Who keeps track of like the magnetic variation and decides, oh, we need to move it over 4 degrees?
Yeah, it's that's something that has come apart more recently. Yes, I have a thorough understanding. I lived in Grand Junction for 22 years before moving over here to Denver. I got my private pilot and instrument rating at Grand Junction and flew 2,000 hours in Cessna 182s and P210s out of Grand Junction. So I know that airport very, very well. I got my private with Deanna Strand at Strand Aviation and did some flying with the Colorado Flight Center there. I'm also on the advisory committee for the CMU CC Community College, or what, CCWC Aviation Technology Program over there with
Really?
Colin Fay.
I'm about to go back there, so I might meet you.
Stacy Dollar's leading that program up. So,
Yep.
you know, just mentioning one thing like Grand Junction, you see how networking works. But back to the runway variation. Magnetic north moves. I don't know if you knew that, but the magnetic variation, the magnetic declination changes on an annual basis. It changes a little bit until it gets to a point, and then it comes back. When we do an airport master plan or an airport layout plan, we identify true north, magnetic north, and then we identify the rate of change of magnetic variation each year. So eventually, magnetic north changes. So when the magnetic declination of the runway has changed for runway 11, it can be 110 to 115. When it hits 116 and it keeps changing towards 120, the FAA will say, okay, the next time you do a project, we need to change the runway designation of that runway. They are not realigning the runway. They're simply changing the numbers on the runway. And we've done this at probably a dozen different airports across the West. It has an effect on the cost of the project because you have to change the numbers on the runway, all the sign panels, and all of the aviation pubs, like the instrument approach plate. So National Flight Data Center gets involved on changing all of the approaches into the airport. But the reality is, just because the numbers changed does not mean they have changed the alignment of the runway. That asphalt or concrete is still in the same direction that it was.
Yeah, that's interesting. They get a lot of people involved just to paint some numbers, it sounds like.
Yeah, and what you'll find also at airports, I think Dallas, Fort Worth is like this. DI may be going this way. When you have multiple runways, when you have more than runway 17 left and 17 right, if you need another set of parallel runways, you can't have 17 left and 17 right. They will call it 1735 and 1836. Even though they're completely parallel, they'll just number them differently so they don't get confused.
Wow, that's interesting.
But nowadays with GPS, you just fly the heading, and by that point you're spot on. So
yeah, you figured it out.
The big challenge afterward is getting everybody used to saying the new number. Clear to land runway 12 or clear for takeoff 112 versus 11, and that'll take sometimes years.
Yeah, well, and if they don't post it, like in Rangeley, they changed the runway, and here I am going on my first solo cross country over there, expecting runway 25, and it's runway 26, and I'm like, oh no, did I go to the wrong airport? Because I didn't put it on ForeFlight, or it may have been the other way around, but the papers weren't agreeing with what I was thinking.
Well, what I would say is a good consultant would have talked to the airport manager and made sure they had posted a NOTAM on that. We're not their consultant, so I don't want to badmouth anybody, but a good consultant would have done that. And that's something we do. We submit the paperwork for all of those designation changes and all that for our clients.
I have a few questions for you, sir. So as you mentioned, aviation management students also have some role in the consultancy, right? In your consultancy. So what is the role of aviation management students, and what are the tools you use in planning the airport?
So my background, I have a aerospace engineering from Boston University and a master's of aeronautical science and aviation management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So that's what gave me the tools really to get into airport planning. So really what we use for airport planning is the knowledge and skills of our people. And in terms of tools, primarily it is AutoCAD. So our AutoCAD technicians, we will obtain aerial photogrammetry through aeronautical surveys from aerial providers. And then our AutoCAD technicians provide base maps of the airport and the surrounding communities. We use some GIS from our clients. Typically, they have GIS for property maps and things like that. And then we work up worksheets based on that to do our layouts. The FAA has advisory circulars, ACs, that one is called airport planning, and it provides all of the dimensional criteria for different sizes and types of airports based on the size and types of aircraft that operate. Obviously, a small GA airport, the runways and clearances are different than a large hub airport. So we use that as the basis of the guidelines, and then we incorporate that into our plans. We have been more recently getting into some modeling, doing some simulation and some animation for our plans. We're popping up our two-dimensional AutoCAD plans into three-dimensional perspectives, and we can fly an airplane in an animation, land the airplane and taxi it back to the hangar or the terminal and show what their future development is going to look like. So we're pretty excited about those opportunities as well. And that's fantastic for public meetings and also for consultant selection presentations to show the clients, what their airport's going to look like in the future.
Is the 3D animations and graphics still in the AutoCAD, or are you using any other software for that?
We've used some SketchUp. Google SketchUp is one of the platforms that we've used, but primarily it's been, Google SketchUp and AutoCAD.
We both have similar degrees. I did my undergrad in aerospace, and right now I'm doing my Master of Science in Aeronautics from Embry-Riddle in Aviation Management. So yeah, I guess we both have similar degrees and same interests in airport planning.
Chandra.
Also, I
Well,
did
great. We have quite a few Embry-Riddle airport planners on staff. So yeah, please stay in touch and let me know how things are going. Which campus are you doing it online, or are you at one of the campuses?
Daytona Beach.
Extended. Okay, excellent.
And also,
so nice to meet you, Chandra.
Yeah, good to see you, sir. Also, I did a course in last semester, which is airport planning for total airspace and airport modeler, which is completely into airport planning and designing, simulation, and 3D animations. I guess this course really helps you in airport planning. When you have time, go and
yeah. The TAM is a great program. I'm not proficient at it myself, and I would love to be able to incorporate it into some of our planning. Interestingly, when I did my master's thesis through Embry-Riddle, I did it on TAM, and I surveyed the number of airports and consulting firms that were using TAM. This was 20 years ago, in their development of the airport, and to gauge the level of utilization of that program across the consultancy. So I'm glad to see you're engaged in that.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep in touch with you, and we'll go ahead in future conversation.
Yeah, please do. Pete has all of my contact information, so feel free, Pete, to make it available to anyone on the call today.
I definitely will. Any other questions? Perfect. Well, Dennis, this is amazing. We hit our hour limit, so we're going to leave here momentarily, but thank you very much for coming on today and telling us all about Armstrong Consultants. If you're hiring, I'll take a position. I just don't know anything about airport planning, but I know that we have candidates on the call who do know all of that. And so I will definitely make those connections for you. And so again, I appreciate it. Ken, I appreciate you for making the introduction to Armstrong Consultants. And with that, I'll end this portion of the show. So thank you so much.